Good day, fellow rockers and moshers. Welcome to the Metal Connection, the connection to all things metal. I'm J-Dub, and today on the show we're doing a guest choice 5 favorite fronted Dio albums. So not just Dio solo albums, but all of the Dio albums, or all of the Dio that he's appeared on. Black Sabbath, Dio solo, and the Rainbow, obviously. And then, well, he was an elf, so I don't know. Maybe if that will come up, the elf, the previous elf from the '70s. So maybe that might come up. Who knows? So anyway, we do have some guests here, as you guys can see. So maybe we'll just get the guests to introduce themselves. We'll go around. So David Biggs, if you want to introduce yourself here.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Biggs, and I'm your rock and roll big dog.
And then Witherall, if you want to go next here.
Can't beat that one. Yeah, my name's Dave Witherall. I'm from East Coast Canada.
And Frederick, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Frederick. I'm from Perth, Western Australia.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, and then maybe I'll just reiterate again. I'm not sure if all the guests have their 5 favorite fronted Dio albums in order, so to speak. I know I don't personally, but if they do, that's just an added bonus as well. So keep that in mind. Like someone might show their favorite first off. That doesn't necessarily mean it's their first or last or whatever. And who knows? There probably will be some overlapping picks here and there, but either way, we'll just kickstart the show and see how this all shakes out. And David Biggs, if you want to go up first here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with probably not a standard choice, but my in the number 5 slot is Dio Strange Highways. And the reason why I like this album so much is because it kind of came out during the grunge era. Yeah, there you go. You got the vinyl. That's awesome. I've never seen that on vinyl. That's amazing. So I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, that's awesome. This came out during the grunge era, right? I think it was 93. This is 93. So when I went to the record store,
94.
94? Yeah. So when I went to the record store in those years, they had this one. It was behind the counter, and the reason why it was behind the counter was because I guess this is the one that was made in England. It wasn't a North American copy. It's a
Nice.
like the Vertigo Swirl, and I think I paid like $25 for it. It was super expensive, but this was out before I think the North American edition was, and I had to have it. Yeah, I had to have it. So I paid I think it was $25, which back 20, what was that, 20, 30, almost 30 years ago? That was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. And, I didn't have a lot of money when I was that young. So This was a big, big purchase. Yeah. And, what you get is very, very heavy Dio. Tracy G is on this record. And he's more of a fuzzy, awesome. Wow. You have a lot of cool stuff. He's more of a fuzzy, dissonant kind of guitarist. He plays a lot of heavy stuff, a lot of I think he downtunes a lot. So it's very kind of, I don't want to say it's grungy because it's not a grunge album, but it's that fuzzy, dissonant kind of heavy metal that's not typical Vivian Campbell shredding. It's not shredding. It's heavy, downtuned. Yeah. So, but I love it because the opening track, Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost, that track is amazing. I think it quotes a little bit from King Crimson, if I believe. Something there's from Court of the Crimson King. I think it quotes from that because I heard this album first, 30 years ago, and then I heard Court of the Crimson King years later when I was getting into prog stuff, and it quotes from that if you listen to both tracks, which is really cool. My other favorite tracks are I like Give Her the Gun, and I like Here's to You and Bring Down the Rain. Those are, and of course the title track, the epic title track, Strange Highways.
Yeah,
it's great album. It's a great album. So that's gonna be my number 5 choice.
Right on.
Not that it's any better than Holy Diver or Last in Line, but it's my personal pick because
it's different.
It's different for Dio. Yeah. So
I like it a lot.
Great.
Yeah, certainly interesting. I probably wasn't expecting that. But I guess that's why we're here, to see how this all crunched out. But that maybe it's a little surprising, maybe not. But yeah, that is certainly more of a kind of heavy, maybe not super doomy, so to speak, but it is kind of a heavier, kind of thicker toned thing, right, going on there. And I don't really have a whole lot of no. It's funny. Well, actually, it was funny when you're showing your CD. Is I have a Canadian version, and it's just that. So
Yeah, this I just remember seeing it in the glass case, and I'm like, I knew the release date was in the future, and I'm like, how do you already have that? And I guess it was the European copy. So I sprung for it, Vertigo. So really, really cool. I just remember that very, very vividly. It's amazing when you go to the record store and you remember certain key records that you bought and the kind of the circumstances. This I remember vividly, buying this album and plunking down the 20. It was like $25,
A lot of money for a CD
which
back
is
then.
exorbitant even now for a CD.
It is, yeah.
So think about it back then.
Right,
Even
yeah.
the artwork is very is very interesting too. The artwork on the cover of the DO. You can tell by the cover what you're going to expect on that record. You know, it's not
I
the
agree.
usual, not his usual dragons and that
No.
sort of artwork. It looks very sort of modern and you know, it's good, great artwork.
Yeah, there's no. I don't think he talks about rainbows or dragons in this at all. It's more of a modern.
Yeah, it's very
almost
modern. Yeah,
it's got a little bit of an industrial feel. That was the word I was going for.
Yeah,
A little bit of an
industrial,
industrial feel. Yeah.
That's
There's no
word.
shredding, but there's
No.
heavy guitar. There's
Very
riffs
heavy.
are there. I mean, Dio's voice is always.
Keyboards are very subtle on this album as well, but you can hear the keyboards with Jeff Pilson on bass. You know,
And it's dark. It's a dark record. You know, some of the
Yeah.
Dio's not the happiest. It's not the happiest music, but a lot of his stuff, like Holy Diver and Last in Line, some of it was like really upbeat, hard rock to heavy metal. This is heavy metal. This is
yeah,
a little depressing, but it's an awesome album.
It is.
Great choice.
Very good choice.
I know. Just looking at the back, I have two standout tracks from that album that I absolutely love so much: is Hollywood Black and Blood from a Stone.
Yes.
Blood from a Stone. Those are my two standout tracks from that album. And yeah, great cover work, great cover art. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot. But Dave Witherall, if you want to go up next here.
Yeah, actually, mine will be a short one because
Interesting.
my choice as well.
Everybody's got it.
Yeah, I had to pick this one, man. Like you explained it perfectly there, Dave. What can be said about this album? It's I agree. I think this is one of his heaviest albums he's done. And the vocals, we all know. I mean, Dio has a very distinct voice. He's got a powerful voice, but I find on that album, he's it's almost like he's more vicious sounding. He's really awesome, very like straight, punchy vocal attack on it. More so than his other albums, I find a little bit. Yeah, I love Strange Highways. Great album.
Maybe because he was pissed off about how the Black Sabbath thing turned out after '92, where
It could have been, yeah.
got back together and then it just didn't work out. There were some issues going on there.
Yeah, he wasn't happy when he left there, right? So,
I know that. They kind of left on a sour note there on the after that Dehumanizer album. But I was gonna I remembered what I was gonna say about Dave Witherall when Biggs, when he mentioned about he paid $25 back then. Like with the inflation, that'd be like a $40 album now, $40 for that CD now. So that's one thing I forgot I was going to say. But that's surprising that we're getting that Strange Highways talk in here.
Oh yeah, I had to pick that one. Love that album.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah. Mine's a US press.
Oh cool.
Yeah, I was listening to this earlier. Hollywood Black, man. Awesome track.
Yeah, Hollywood Black and Blood from a Stone, and then obviously most of the album is pretty well good, but I know those are two standout tracks where those hit my play count high. And I guess we probably talked about we did probably a whole 15-minute thing on Strange Highways. So Frederick, if you want to go up next.
Okay, my pick in no particular order is the Lock Up the Wolves. This is a great album, and it has a very talented guitar player in Rowan Robinson out of the UK. He was only 18 years old when he played on this album for Dio. And it's just, he's a shredder. And this album is just shred. Awesome. Yeah, it just shred. And this is, typical Dio with the fantasy lyrics. Great drumming by Simon Wright of AC/DC and other bands he's played in. Jen Jonasson on keyboards. This is a super group, really. And this is just one really heavy album. It's sometimes it brought us a bit on the speed metal side with the young Rowan. It's got some great tracks like Lock Up the Walls, Evil on Queen Street. Just a pure, typical Dio hard rocker. And the artwork on this album is, you can, again, if you look at the artwork, you know what you're going to expect from a Dio record.
Yeah, I agree.
I've never seen that on vinyl. This is the first time I've ever seen it.
Oh yeah.
This one is a reissue. It came in like the box set.
Yeah, mine's the reissue too, but I didn't get the box set though.
So the box set which came out from the USA. So yeah. So
that's awesome.
It's quite. These box sets are quite good. I wish they would release the other 4 in the box set, but
great album.
It is a great album. I don't know what you guys think of it, because some people don't like it, some people like it. Just one of those.
Hey Angel's like my favorite track off of that.
I like some of the tracks off it. I really like the first track, Wild One. I think that's just one of the prime Dio tracks. Yeah, but I think a lot of the songs are slow to build, and they're just so slow. And it's, I don't know if there's a lot of shred on there, but if I haven't listened to it in a while. But from what I remember, there's a lot of slow buildups. Vocal harmonies are amazing, but a lot of the songs are just a lot on the slower side to me, and they're a little bit doomy, like grinding doom to me.
Yeah.
So
it just has that doomy element. Element. It's Dio. He was in Black Sabbath. That was sort of pro doom. Not really. I wouldn't call it doom, but it had that doomy element to it. Yes.
Yeah, but I do love that first track. I think it's one of the best Dio tracks that he ever wrote. Wild One is just that song.
Good, yeah.
That riff and the speed of it, and the lyrics and his melodies. And his melodies for all the tracks on that album are amazing. So
they are.
You can never fault Dio. He's never really made a bad album.
No,
he hasn't.
No, and he's always had great musicians behind him as well. Like Ozzy Osbourne. He always picks the cream of the crop guitar players.
I actually think maybe Dio might have had some. Well, I don't know, but he might have had some better guitarists than Ozzy at some points.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, Zach Wilde was good. Randy, you can't beat Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, I can't beat Randy Rhoads, but I think Vivian Campbell. I mean, if he was still with Dio, or if Dio was still alive, who knows what they would have been putting out.
Yeah, true. It would be amazing to hear what albums would have come out if Dio didn't pass away.
Yeah,
I guess they weren't on the best terms either. So
no, he's with Dio for a long time, even since his Rainbow days as well. So
yep.
Well, I'll be honest with that one. I knew that one wasn't even going to crack my top 5, not even close to my top 5. So I didn't even bother listening to it here the last couple of days, because I just knew that it wasn't even going to come close to my top 5, because it's kind of tricky with the cover. With the cover, it's this badass, awesome cover, and it makes you think it's going to be this incredible album, and then it kind of, after that first track, it kind of tails off a bit. Again, I probably should have revisited it, to be honest, but I just remember kind of being a bit of a letdown in terms of the other ones. But I'll just be honest. I didn't even really listen to that because I knew there was no way that was cracking my top 5.
It grows on you.
Yeah, it's a grower album. Yes.
Yeah. But I think I'd say for me, the album cover is better than than the album. But no, I was just kind of kidding with that. But okay, cool. Here's maybe a little unexpected one, but I don't know. For some reason, I really dig the very last Rainbow with Dio, the Long Live
Yes,
Rock
yes.
and Roll.
Yes.
You know, we got some keyboards, we got some classic rock, we got some hard rock, we got maybe some,
Speed
no,
metal,
not
bit of
really
speed
light
metal in
metal,
there.
not really light metal more. But, you know, it's just that really nice kind of hard rock, and there's some keyboards and stuff, and all of it's kind of going on, and Dio really brings it to life, obviously, with all his kind of topics and everything like that. And yeah, I certainly love, like, obviously the opening track, Long Live Rock and Roll is a classic, Lady of the Lake, Gates of Babylon, and is just super epic, like this long 8 minutes. And the really cool thing about this album is some of the songs are longer, but they keep you interested. Like they're not like, they don't seem like they're super long. Like they actually, like they start and they kind of build and they reach a high point, and that high point kind of continues on for most of the song.
That's cool.
And Gates of Babylon is sensitive to light, and yeah, I pretty well just dig this whole album front to back. Other than the last song, Rainbow Eyes, doesn't really do much for me. But other than that, I play the whole first 7 tracks all the way through, not a skipper. And yeah, I absolutely love this album.
Yeah, me too. It's Rainbow, man.
Yeah.
Enough said.
I often classify this album from 1978, right, as the first real power metal album. That the
Yes.
song "Long Live Rock and Roll" is the first power metal song, in my opinion. "Kill the King" is another power metal song. So many bands have covered it. I've heard the Primal Fear version is really good, but nobody's really covered it better. I mean, no one has done it better than Rainbow. I think the original is still the best on this one. You know, a lot of bands cover songs, and like Metallica covered a lot of Diamond Head songs, and I think some of the Metallica versions are a little bit more powerful. But in this instance, with "Kill the King," you know, I think at least every heavy metal band's probably, you know, played it.
Yeah.
And-
Annihilator. I've covered that song too. Kill the King.
Yeah. I mean, that riff is just amazing, and it's
It is.
power metal through and through. There's no denying it. It is power metal. In 1978, I mean, Richie Blackmore and Dio, the combination is just like, it's like you know, peanut butter and chocolate. The two great tastes that go great together.
They go together. Yeah.
Yeah, they go together.
Yeah. I haven't heard that album. The only song I've heard off that album is "Kill the King." I've been trying to find that.
You don't know what
I've
you're
been trying to
missing.
find a reissue. I've been trying to find a reissue, but it hasn't been reissued.
The CD?
No, the vinyl.
Oh, vinyl. Oh, I actually got an original vinyl. I think I got it a couple months ago. I don't think I played it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
I do rarely see it on vinyl, actually, but you guys all have.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an original copy. I found it at a record fair like years ago.
I rarely see it on vinyl.
Yeah, because now, you know, a lot of his live stuff has been reissued, and I was just thinking in my mind that, you know, Wendy might do all his other reissues, his Rainbow years, his Elf years, you know.
Like, if I had to say one bad thing about the album is maybe the production and mix is like a little thin. Like, I know when I was playing back, I did really jack up the bass on it. Like in some of the other things, the production's a little thin. But if you can kind of EQ it or get over that or whatever and just rock out, yeah, it's really cool. And it's kind of like there is kind of some, you know, obviously, you know, the Deep Purple, you know, guy's in there, and he's kind of doing some progressive stuff, and Dio's matching it with his kind of vocals and things like that. So
Don't forget about Cozy Powell.
Yeah,
Right.
That guy was the powerhouse of this band. Cozy Powell. You got Dio, you got Richie, and you got Cozy Powell. I mean, come on. Those guys, that's like, you know, the trinity of heavy metal right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Those guys are heavy metal.
Yeah, wasn't there an issue with Dio and Blackmore at one stage that they weren't getting along because of all the fans?
Richie doesn't really get along with anybody for a long time.
Oh, he didn't.
That's why he's very what's the word, mercurial. He's
Yeah,
like, you know,
because he wasn't into the fantasy stuff.
I
Blackmore?
think it was Richie wanted to go in a more commercial direction by the end of the 1970s,
Yeah.
and he knew he wasn't going to get there with Ronnie, because Ronnie, was the fantasy lyrics, pretty much.
Yeah,
And he knew he wasn't going to get played on radio singing about dragons and rainbows
yeah,
and
right.
medieval stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a conscious decision by Richie, and he's always been the driving force behind Rainbow. He's been the driving force behind any band he's been in.
Yeah.
yeah. Deep
why,
Purple and all that.
So he left
Yeah.
Deep Purple because they weren't doing the direction that he wanted to, and I think he was unhappy with Ian Gillan, another lead singer who wasn't happy with. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, and frankly, I don't think Dio is that super easy to work with either. Right? So
no, I think he's probably he seems like a taskmaster in the studio. Like
Yeah.
he had to get
Very
the
particular.
He was very particular, and if
Yeah.
he didn't get the take right, he would do it over and over and over again. One of
Yeah,
those guys that
or-
say, "Okay, let's do it one more time, one more time, one more time,"
Yeah.
and like you play the same riff or same song over 100 times.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care how good the song is, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
I would love to hear those outtakes on a vinyl. All different outtakes of all these songs.
I'm sure they exist.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of the Graham Bonnet outtakes, but I don't know if I have any Dio outtakes.
Oh,
That'd be
nice.
interesting. That'd be interesting to hear the outtakes of Dio and his Rainbow Days, and all his catalog outtakes will be a good investment to get if they
Yeah.
ever do it.
I'm sure they will, because probably maybe Wendy has control over or Blackmore. I don't know. There's money to be made there, so it'll probably get released at some point.
Oh yeah, true. I agree. Yeah.
and to tail it off with the song that "Long Live Rock and Roll," the rock and roll big dog is up next.
Oh, all right. So that's a good segue. Anyway, so what are we at? This is the fourth pick? Fourth, right?
Yeah, we're still just we're early on.
So I have a big history with this album, Dehumanizer album. Oh, you got the tape, nice. This is from '92. This is the first reunion with Ronnie. He left after Live Evil in like 82, 83, I believe. So this is 10 years later, and this coincidentally was my first show, my first live show. And I have a ticket right here to prove it.
Oh,
Oh, awesome.
Where's my ticket? And
Hartford, Connecticut. Huh?
yeah. So I lived near there at the time, and I went with some high school buddies, and I was very, very close. So it says Orchestra C. So the orchestra the Bushnell's a tiny, it's like a theater. It's more for like performing arts more than, it's not really an arena for heavy metal. It's kind of really a proper place. So it's kind of weird that Black Sabbath and Excess were there. So the orchestra, I counted, I was 8 rows back from, Dio and Tony and Geezer, and I think Vinny Appice was the drummer. So it was the 1980s, early 80s Sabbath version of Sabbath. And Skew Siskin opened. I don't know if anybody heard, they're a German band fronted by female fronted. They were pretty good. And then Exodus completely blew the roof off the place. I mean,
Of course it did.
it was I mean, I remember people going crazy in the aisles and the ushers trying to like push people back into their seats because it was very proper and they're dressed in their suits and stuff. And the guys were just like kind of moshing in the aisles, and I had never seen this before. I'm 16 years old and I'm watching this and I'm like, whoa, is this what goes on at concerts? And I'm just standing there watching everything, and just Exodus was amazing. I mean, it was a force to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Weird combination, Exodus and Sabbath.
Yeah, it was
Dude,
weird. You got Thrash and you got Doom, and then Sabbath comes on, and they're even louder than Exodus. I mean, the doors on this place just blew off the hinges. It was just
awesome.
It was the greatest thing I'd ever heard in my life as a 16-year-old. The greatest thing I've ever heard. I think I almost cried. It was so good because this album meant so much to me because I'd been listening to it for months. And I loved it. This is just, it's a sheer Doom record. It's he's writing more about the problems with computer god and all this kind of stuff. It's more of a modern Doom record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Society. You know, about how
Yeah.
how the internet computers are taking over the world.
Yeah. So that's
Even the cover tells you, you know, it's about the future. You know what computers are doing to mankind as well.
and I absolutely love that first single that they released before the album came out, Time Machine. I think it was on the Wade's World soundtrack. So I'd heard it and I'm like, that song is awesome. I can't wait till this album comes out. So I get the album and I'm listening to it, and it's, you know, it's a combination of doom, slow doom, grinding doom, and there's a faster tracks, and it's just masterful. A lot of people don't really consider this a great Sabbath album. I read a lot about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people just don't think it's a great Sabbath album, but I beg to differ. It is. Yeah. Yeah. That's an Australian band, Pegasus. I think I have that CD.
But they did a cover of Time Machine.
Yeah. Is that metal? Is that the Metal Mind label?
Yes, that's the Metal Mind.
That's from Poland.
Yeah, but the cover on this song, you know, it's a good cover. You know, it's totally different to what Dio. This is more speedier, more. But that song has been covered quite a bit now. So, but
it's an amazing song.
It is an amazing song. It's a great song. That's probably the first song that I heard too, was Time Machine, and then I heard it and I thought, shit, this is, you know, a great. I need to go out and get the cassette, and I got the cassette version back in the day on EMI.
I've never seen it on cassette. That's so awesome. That's really.
It's a great album. You know, it's being reissued on vinyl again, which is good because I need to get that vinyl as well.
Yeah, mine's the reissue.
Has they got the bonus tracks?
No.
I think there was a deluxe version as well.
Yeah, this one's a 2009 press.
Oh, okay.
I actually have the CD of the demos for that album. I have it somewhere here. The Dehumanizer demos.
Yeah.
Okay. They might be totally different sounding, are they?
It sounds a little rougher, and but I think, you know, I like the sound of Tony's guitar is so raw. It's more processed here, even though it's still very powerful. But on the demos, it's very raw, and, you know, like he put a mic right up to his like practice amp or something, or one of his Marshalls, and he's just like, okay, this is the riff, this is how the song's gonna go, or, you know, they work on the arrangement that way. They do maybe some scratch lyrics or something to just get the feel of the song. But I have the demos here somewhere. I gotta fish it out. It's there. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Super heavy album. Yeah, very heavy. Like Tony's tone there is just right off the gate. You know this is going to be a super kind of doomy, heavy, sludgy kind of album.
And I like Vinny's drums too. Vinny's drums here are really he's good. He's the perfect drummer for them, for that kind of stuff.
He was.
Dave, if you want to go up next with your next pick.
Huh?
Dave, if you want to go up next with your next pick.
Yeah, sure. Yep. All right. Before someone else picks it, maybe. Dream Evil. Okay. That's yeah. I chose Dream Evil because honestly, this is my favorite Dio album right here. Yeah. It's the first one I ever heard by Dio, and I've been a fan ever since. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, it's your typical Dio album. You missed that one there, David?
Oh yeah.
Dream Evil?
Yep.
Yeah. That's I had to get this one in because this right here is my number one Dio album for me.
Is that with that's with Craig Goldie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite Dio album right there. It's the first one I ever heard by the band. Yeah, been a fan ever since. I mean, Sunset Superman, amazing track. Night People, man, it's classic. Just an overall classic album. classic Dio. I mean, it's got that 80s sound. Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, my favorite tracks are "I Could Have Been a Dreamer." I think that's a great song. The
Yeah, it
title,
is, yeah.
title track is also another great song. This one's a little bit slower, a little bit. I think also a little bit doomier.
Yeah,
And those doomy sort of elements.
yeah. But I mean, if you take a look at the his first 3 albums, this one, Last in Line, and the first one there, this got the typical 80s Dio sound, right?
Yeah, 80s
Yeah.
metal, yeah.
Yeah, the 80s metal, which is great. Yeah, it's awesome. Love this album.
Yeah,
The only thing that bothers me about this album is the production. I think it's
Yeah,
I just
I'd
think
agree.
the production is it's dull. It's not bright
Yeah.
like maybe like the first couple albums. I
yeah,
think Holy Diver had the best production of those
Yeah.
of those 80s albums. And
yeah,
then it kind of went a little downhill from there. Like
It
Last
did,
in Line
yeah.
was Last in Line
Yeah.
wasn't as well produced, and then Sacred
Yeah.
Heart wasn't as well produced.
yeah.
But the songs on here are awesome.
Sacred
Love it.
Heart, that's another good one too.
Love this album.
Yeah,
I just don't play it as
Awesome.
much because the production just bothers me. It bothers my ears.
yeah.
yeah, that was talking.
It is
I
kind of
don't-
weird, eh?
What's that?
It is kind of weird though, because it's like some of his albums have great production and some don't. I don't get it, but
Well, it could be just a problem with the mastering for the CD because I don't have
Yeah.
the vinyl. If I heard the vinyl, I might have a different opinion, which
Yeah.
happens a lot.
I
My
I think the
ears-
vinyl sounds great, so it could be the
So
CD.
it might be just the CD mastering, which
Yeah.
happens all the time. I buy something, I've been listening to the CD for what 30 years, 20 years, 30 years, however long I've had it. And then
Yeah.
I find the used vinyl, an original copy. I listen to that and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this sounds so much different.
Yeah,
And this is probably a truer representation of what they heard in the playback when they were recording it
Yeah.
than the CD. So I'm gonna blame the mastering on this.
yeah. So
I don't know if this
that's
would
my
make-
choice.
I don't know if this would make sense, but it almost seems like this album was kind of an oddity for the Dio solo albums in a sense that there was lots more keyboard driven. Obviously, we're in the 87, right? And I
Yeah.
think Ozzy's Ultimate Sin came out, which was highly keyboard heavy as well.
Yeah.
So I think that was just
Yeah.
kind of the signs of the time where bands were experimenting with keyboards. And I know this album is very keyboard heavy, synth heavy, whatever you call it. And also maybe an oddity where some people might have some different opinions on it because the Sunset Superman track might like Superman, like what's he talking about Superman? It's kind of goofy. And then
Yeah.
the Naked in the Rain, like which is very different for him. He's never had a song title like that, just Naked in the Rain. What is he, Mick Jagger here? So right. So I think this could be maybe an oddity for him where some people really love this album and some people don't like it for the keyboard and the Naked in the Rain song and some of the other slower songs. But I'm going to try not to say too much because it may or may not appear on my list.
Yeah, no, it's an album, like you said, 87, I think he was competing with Ozzy, trying to get, that his sound, so.
Well, when I was listening to it over and I made some notes for this album specifically, I probably just gave it away, but there definitely is a lot of keyboards and things like that, and I just started to think like some of this stuff almost sounds a bit like Ultimate Sin, like the keyboard kind of. It's like some of the intros and outros kind of has like that Ultimate Sin vibe. Obviously, Dio's not a copy guy; he's not trying to copy it all. It's just obviously he would have heard it and.
Well, maybe Ozzy's trying to copy him.
Right.
Maybe,
it was a sign of the times. It was a sign of the times. And
Sign of the times, yeah.
Yeah, sort of. It was the hair metal days, wasn't it? It was the hair metal.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
Ozzy's
think
got
it's
a lot of
really-
outside writers. Dio, I think, doesn't utilize outside guys to write his stuff for him.
No.
No,
If you
he
look at
doesn't
the if you look at the Ozzy credits, I mean, I know Bark at the Moon. He was he told Jakey Lee he was not going to have any writing credits on it, and he had to live with it or be out of the band. But I think with Ultimate Sin, some of the other guys, like Phil Susan wrote "Shot in the Dark." I don't think Ozzy had anything to do with anything, pretty much.
No.
But I would imagine, like, when people heard that Naked in the Rain song back in the day, they're like, no, Dio's done. We're done with him, right? Like, I could imagine that's what some people thought.
Maybe.
Because they probably weren't expecting something like that. But
Yeah.
anyway, Frederick, if you want to go up next
Great
with your
album.
next pick here.
Okay, I'm going to go to a different era of Dio, and I want to talk about Mob Rules.
Love it.
This I don't have it on vinyl, just on CD. This album just blew me away when I first heard Mob Rules and the instrumental E5150 on the soundtrack of Heavy Metal, and I thought it was heavy as fuck. You know, it was
Yeah.
really heavy, really dark, and has some slow parts on here as well. You know, like great songs like "Sign of the Southern Cross," which is an awesome track.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. One of my favorites.
Another one of my favorites is "Voodoo." I love that. I love that. I love that intro. That do 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 do. You know, with the Iommi. Over and Over is a great track. You know, Falling Off the Edge of the World is like almost a speed metal track. You know, what else is like Slipping Away? But you know, the instrumental on here, which really got me, because when I listen to that track, it reminds me of dungeon synth. That's sort of that black metal dungeon synth type of track. You know, where it's moody and dark and eerie. Oh, this is just a great album.
So doesn't Sabbath open up when they do live shows with when they used to do live shows with Dio? Don't they open up with E51? Like that's the entrance music before they start the Mob Rules or whatever.
Yeah, I think that could be true. I'm not sure because I've you know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't.
It is a creepy track.
It is a
It
creepy
is, yeah.
track.
It's creepy.
You know, it reminds me of dungeon synth. You know, if you had if it was a more longer a track, I think it would have been amazing. But Iommi's guitar work on here, you know, it's he shreds on this album. Those guitar tones he does on these songs, I don't think anybody can really sort of match his tones on guitar on this album.
Yeah.
And you know, I was wondering, you know, like I was thinking about, you know, what if Dio wasn't on this album and it was a Ozzy Osbourne album?
It would still be awesome. It would still be awesome.
How different it would have been, you know, if Ozzy would say on this album in Heaven and Hell, it'd be totally different. It wouldn't be as heavy. It'll probably be a bit more slower because you know Ozzy's vocals are a required taste.
Yeah.
But you know,
Actually, I bought my copy used years ago. So this is an original Canadian press. It's actually a promo copy. And actually, I don't know if you guys can see it. I love finding like little like extras when you get vinyl. I don't know who originally had owned this, but I don't know if you guys can see that up on top. Can you see what it says there? There's somebody wrote in pen.
Can't read it. Something after.
Yeah, it says all cuts after 7 p.m. except, and then on some of the tracks they got no, yes, no.
Oh, it was a radio station.
It must have been, yeah.
It was a radio station.
That's pretty cool. So this was played for a radio station at one time. That's pretty cool.
That is awesome. I love when albums have a provenance like that and you kind of know the history of it. That's awesome. I love stuff like that. Like when people actually, I have a lot of used records where people have written their names on it, and some people like they don't like that. They think it's defacing it. I think it's so awesome. You got 50 years ago, you know, so and so had this album and they wrote their name on it because they didn't want anybody else to steal it. They wanted to know who it was.
Right.
Like this is their album.
Yeah, I got a couple of albums like that as well. One by Metal Church. It came out of a radio station, and it's got the radio station's name scrawled on the front cover.
And I actually on here, this might be the radio station. It says CKEC, November 27th, 1981.
That's awesome.
Maybe that might have been the radio station.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love albums that have a history that you can trace the history back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sort of like when you get that album, you think, oh yeah, that's where I heard this track. I heard it from this radio station. And then you get that album cover. It's got the radio station's name on it. Yep, that's where I first heard that track. That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
It is.
Great album.
So what do you think of this album? Do you is it one of your best Sabbath Dio albums, or do you prefer the Heaven and the Hell, or they're both the same?
I find them equal. Heaven and Hell is probably maybe a little bit more than that one, but that's definitely my second one for sure. And then
Mob Rules is actually my favorite Dio era Black Sabbath song. The Mob Rules. I think it's the riff that it's got I play guitar, so it's got like that A pull down G riff that's very common, but he uses it with the trill. So the trill is when he hits a note really fast with his fingers. And Turn Up the Night, he's got all the really fast trills. So it's guitar work that's really Iommi patented. It's very specific to him. When you hear it, it's Tony. It's no other guitarist. No other guitarist really sounds like him. I mean, sure, there's a million guitarists that are better than him, but nobody sounds like him. And he's the original guy. He's the godfather, the father of heavy metal, pretty much.
Yeah,
he is.
I mean, I consider Hendrix really the guy who innovated, most aspects of heavy metal, but Tony Iommi is the guy that really, with the power chords and the minor riffing and the just the guitar that sounds like it's puking. It's just a raw, pukey sound, not in a bad way, but in a good way. It sounds like the guitar is vomiting, which is awesome.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd say for me, overall, I probably do like Mob Rules better than Heaven and Hell. But if I were to probably pick like single tracks, I'd probably pick some of the Heaven and Hell tracks as being better. But I think overall, I do probably would prefer the Mob Rules just slightly, just because Heaven and Hell has a couple near the back half isn't as great as the first half. But that's kind of here nor there. They're both great albums, but if I
they are. I find them kind of similar.
Right, yeah, pretty much. I think overall, this one all the way through is better. But if I had to pick out standout tracks, I'd probably have more standout tracks on this album, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah. I actually think this has like one of the worst Dio tracks on it ever, and that's Country Girl. I do not like that song. I like the riff. I don't like the lyrics.
The lyrics are corny, but the riff is
good. I just think the lyrics are a bit throwaway, and it's kind of sacrilege to say about Dio. And he does every album. He's got like this evil woman vibe going on. On one track, it's always about an evil woman somehow. I think on Heaven and Hell was Evil Woman. On this album, it's Country Girl. I
think he was singing about Sharon Osbourne, wasn't he?
Maybe. On this one, it's Lady of the Lake. On Last in Line, let's see, it's Evil Eyes or Eat Your Heart Out. So there's one Evil Woman song on every track.
Tarot Woman.
Yeah.
And, Rainbow Rising.
Every single one. I'm not making this up.
I think it's about Sharon Osbourne. I think he's trying to get to Ozzy's.
It could be.
His nerve.
They the Osbournes, I think, were pretty mean to Dio when he took over for Ozzy.
They were.
Oh yeah.
They made a lot of fun of him.
Yeah, so I think Ronnie's getting back at her with all these songs, saying you're an evil bitch,
I've read all these books on Sabbath, and they really malign that guy, but
I know
it wasn't right.
That wasn't right at all.
That's how they do, though. So what can you say?
Yeah, I know for me personally, I had my 4 pretty well locked in, and even just half an hour before the show, I was tossing and turning with my last pick between the Rainbow Long Live Rock and Roll and this Mob Rules. I had to pick one or the other, and I just think just long term, I'd probably just like the classic sound of that Long Live Rock and Roll, and some of the longer songs really work for me there, because it's not very often where you can really get into like 8-minute songs and just like thoroughly enjoy those through. So yeah, it was just slightly, but I know I had my 4 locked in, and those were the last 2 were like fighting for that last spot was the Mob Rules and the Long Live Rock and Roll, and I had to make a decision. But and then this already did get picked, so this is my next pick. Was Dehumanizer, and
Nice.
David Biggs already picked that, so we probably already talked on that. But I will mention some standout tracks for me, even though generally the whole album is really awesome. It's super heavy. I'd probably say it is more mid-paced, but it is super heavy. None of them, like all the choruses, are good choruses. None of it's boring. But I'd say some standout tracks for me would be TV Crimes,
Great track.
Letters from the Earth, and I
I
wrote
think that
down
was a
like
single TV Crimes.
oh yeah, and then I wrote down Letters from the Earth, like a really slow, really doomy, heavy
Yeah,
track. Letters from the Earth.
That's a great track. That's a great track. I like that one.
Master of Insanity, Time Machine, although it was that single we touched on, and then also near the end there, the I. There's just the simple the I track. Say
Yeah.
I. Yeah, that's a really cool
They
track.
played a lot of those songs at the concert, a lot of the songs off the album, which is unusual. They played Time Machine, I think they played Letters from Earth, they played they played Master of Insanity. They played so many. I remember, because this was my first concert ever, I remember almost every song that they played. Of course, they played like Mob Rules, they opened up with that, they played Heaven and Hell, played Children of the Sea.
Classics, yeah, the classics.
It's a strong album. It's like it was probably surprising to people at the time in 1992 when it did come out that it was such a strong album, and then it being super heavy. It's just like people were into it or either not. I guess there was those Aussie purists where they're just not agreeing with anything non-Aussie Black Sabbath. But for the people that did agree with it, they knew it was a nice. Complete full album. It wasn't just like one or two gimmick songs. Like the whole album is good. They put a lot of time and effort.
It was good that they did change their name to Heaven and Hell, because like you said, with the Aussie fans, seeing Dio in Black Sabbath, it wasn't to their palate. So it was good that they did change their name to Heaven and Hell, but it's Sabbath, but using the Heaven and Hell moniker.
I don't think they did actually technically change their name to Heaven and Hell, did they? Because it still says
did.
Black Sabbath on it.
No, they did Heaven and Hell from the 2007 album when they.
Oh right, yeah. Well, later on.
Yeah.
I think that was more.
Yeah.
I think probably.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd almost assume that was more of like a legal thing, like maybe.
I think it was.
I think they just didn't want to. They just didn't want to deal with Aussie at the time, so just like fuck it.
Yeah. No, I think it's Sharon. Sharon is
right.
taking the.
They didn't want to deal with Sharon and her nonsense, so it's yeah. Anyway, Big Dog's up next year.
All right, I'm gonna go back, kind of old school, and I'm gonna go with the first Rainbow album. It was actually titled Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. And then I think for the next album, they just called it Rainbow because, it's kind of a long name. But so this is, prime example of medieval castle rock, I call it.
Yeah.
This is probably like one of the first medieval castle rock albums. And it's been copied by so many other bands, this style of music, the riffing, the song arrangements, the lyrics. It's been copied by every band since for, how old this album? 46 years old. It's been copied for almost 50 years, okay? Over and over and over. Of course, we've got "Man on the Silver Mountain," the first track. The first time I heard that, I was like, the riff starts and then the drums kick in and everything else. It completely blew my mind. It's unfortunately the studio album is not as it's kind of not as strong as when they play it live. When they play it live, it's a lot more muscular. The studio tracks here, the production is kind of like not really there. But the songs are just so amazing that they overcome the production. But the interesting thing about Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, the first album, is that it was basically Richie plus Elf without their guitarist. So he took Dio's band, they got rid of their guitarist, and Richie became the guitarist, and it was called Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, which is kind of interesting because I think most of the guys were gotten rid of except for Dio for the next album. That's when Cozy came in for what was it, Rainbow Rising?
Rising, yeah.
So this was basically Elf plus Richie Blackmore, and
Yeah, good analogy.
Yeah.
you've got just amazing songs. 16th Century Greensleeves, of course, that's the big medieval track on here. Temple of the King is another medieval sounding track. You've got the epic Catch the Rainbow, which would be, that kind of epic stuff was on every kind of Rainbow album. So Richie had he had his, the tropes that he liked to follow for all these albums. But I when I heard this album, I mean, I played it so many times all the way through, and it just the guitar work blows me away. And then obviously Dio's vocals is why we're here. So they're
That's
peanut
nice pick.
a peanut butter and jelly album. Richie Blackmore and Ronnie James Dio, two great tastes that go great together.
Great album. I've heard the first track, and that's an iconic track, the first track, but the rest of the album I haven't heard, so I can't really say too much about that album.
It was the start of a unique blend for sure. Like, Richie Blackmore coming from Deep Purple and then joining up with Dio. It was quite the not the odd mix, but it was quite the cool pairing because, Richie Blackmore brings his kind of keyboard sound, rock keyboardish sound, and then Dio joins up and then kind of adds his own little flair. And then we have this super unique, never heard kind of rock early power metal, medieval power metal sort of thing. Obviously, it's not metal back in the day, but maybe back then it could have been considered.
No, true. But it's almost hits that point to metal.
It's a unique mix of keyboard kind of rock and up tempo-y, and then fantasy type stuff that all Dio started and all that kind of stuff. So
Do you know the unusual thing was before, Ronnie was an Elf before this, and I have all the Elf albums, and they're not typical Dio albums. They're like kind of boogie woogie-ish, kind of bluesy.
Yeah.
So to go from Elf, which was kind of boogie woogie, maybe a little southern, southern root rock to this, it's a big jump. It's like a quantum leap in rock. So that's kind of an amazing thing that I think needs to be said. And I haven't listened to the Elf albums in forever, but I remember listening to them and thinking that they were going to be like super heavy and super dark. They're not.
No,
they're kind of upbeat, buoyant, boogie woogie metal. And I was just like, everybody's got to start somewhere. And
yeah,
that's it. So it was same with Sabbath when they were called Earth. They were more of a jazz blues band, weren't they? And then they went heavy. And same with Dio. Like I said, he went with the boogie woogie. He must have heard something, on the radio, or he saw a band that thought, I think I can go even more darker, more heavier, and then he progressed into the Rainbow, and then to his solo, to his Sabbath era.
Well, I think Dio, he seemed like a very smart guy. Kind of, he was, read a lot. He seemed a lot learned and seemed like he knew his stuff. So I think these smart guys are like, let's do something that doesn't sound like everybody else, so we can get some notoriety and get some traction. And that kind of rootsy bluesy stuff was very common back in those early 70s. I have so many records that sound like that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of all sounds the same after a while. There's not a lot of personality. And then to go to the first Rainbow album, nobody was doing anything like this. Obviously, that's why Richie left Deep Purple, because they were getting too funky for him. He didn't want to do funk. He
hard rock.
Yeah, I mean, I love Burn is one of my favorite albums, and I love Stormbringer. Awesome. But I've read Richie. He didn't like some of the funk that Glenn Hughes and Coverdale were bringing. He didn't like it. That's why.
The bluesy stuff. Yeah.
He wanted to do medieval castle rock, and that's what you get. And the results are amazing.
Well, it's pretty cool that most likely all the Rainbow albums are going to show up here tonight on this show. Most likely. So that's really cool. I probably was sort of expecting that, not expecting that sort of thing. But, well, I guess I wouldn't even know, but I'm not sure if anyone else is going to pick the long live rock and roll. So I guess I might be the only one with that, possibly. But Dave Witherall, if you want to go up next year.
Right on, buddy. Well, I might as well continue on with David there. And I got to pick this album.
You picked my album.
Yeah.
I was gonna pick this one as well.
That's
so
the best. That's the best.
Oh, man. This album it's phenomenal, is the word I got to use for this album. As good as Richie Blackmore's Rainbow was, that was a great pick there, Dave.
Thank you.
I think he stepped up the game with Rising. Such a great album.
That cover.
Oh, amazing.
great cover, Ken Kelly.
Get a nice,
Excellent.
have a nice Japanese press. Sounds amazing.
I got the Back to Black reissue.
Yeah,
I've got the $5 from the record store.
nice.
$5 CD issue. Actually,
Yeah.
this is an older pressing, so it's kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah,
This is a $43 vinyl.
yeah.
Actually, this one's from West Germany. I didn't even realize it.
Oh, nice.
That's not a bad price. $5.
No, that's
Yeah,
good.
so yours would be an original, not a remaster one, because I would have a remaster one. And I just will halt this conversation for 1 second and say, Frederick, you were saying that you picked Rainbow Rising as well?
Yes.
Okay, well, so I picked Rainbow Rising as well, so we might as well just get our this will just be our big Rainbow Rising talk, and this is one of my picks out of the way. This is one of Frederick's picks out of the way, so we'll just get our big Rainbow Rising thing in right now.
Yeah. Standout tracks for me: Terror Woman, Starstruck, Run with the Wolf. Run with the Wolf is amazing. Man, that's a friggin' what a track that is. I find with this album too, this is where he got a little heavier. This one
Yes,
was
he
a
did.
heavier album. Yeah,
Much heavier.
yeah, much heavier than Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
I think it was just a chemistry thing. I think at that point, the
Yeah.
chemistry was locked in. These guys were locked in, and they
Yeah.
knew the sound that they were going after the first album. And yeah, these guys were just locked in, and Dio was super confident at this point. Coming from Elf, Dave was touching on, it's kind of Boogie Woogie era, and then Rainbow Ride, and then that first Rainbow, they set the standard for what's
Yeah.
to come. And then by the time they got in with Rainbow Rising, they were locked in
They
chemistry.
it's like they were setting the tone.
And
Well, they got Jimmy Bain on board. Jimmy Bain, awesome bassist.
Yeah.
And then they got Cozy. So you've got that rhythm section there, and they just crush. Yep.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
And of course, 3/5 of that band is not they're no longer around, unfortunately.
Wow.
Jimmy Bain just died a little while ago. Cozy died like, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe. And Dio died 11 years ago, 12 years ago. They were these were the old masters. I talk about them a lot. The old masters.
One thing I really love about this album is the fact that there is only 6 songs, but it's one of those things, less is more. All 6 are good. That's all you need. And obviously there are some longer songs, so it's literally just, it doesn't leave you wanting, well, obviously you want more, but it doesn't like leave you feeling incomplete. These 6 songs, it's just like these 6 songs are all amazing, and they got it done, basically, right? And like for me, I pretty much wrote down, this whole album is incredible, and
Yeah.
obviously Starstruck is great. But I really did touch on Do You Close Your Eyes? I really wrote down it's almost like, I don't know if you guys remember that Do You Close Your Eyes track number 4. It's almost like a precursor to the arena rock that came 10 years later.
Yeah.
So this is what 76.
76.
It almost sounds like, if anyone's watching at home or whatever, listen, when you do listen to the track Do You Close Your Eyes, it's almost like it could have came out in 1987 or 88 as a big arena rock sound. I always love these big arena rock productions, and it's almost like that was ahead of its time, where with that big arena rock sound. And yeah, this is one thing I did touch on. It's almost like it was ahead of its time.
Yeah. Great album.
It is a great album.
I think a lot of the current metal bands that have been around for a while, more current, like in the past 20 years, they all probably quote this album
They do.
as one of their favorite albums. It's just
Yeah.
The keyboard presence is amazing. Tony Carey on keyboards. That guy is amazing. I don't think he's even in metal anymore. He does a lot of solo stuff. That dude was he's a virtuoso. We talked about Cozy, who's a virtuoso on drums. He's from that John Bonham kind of big, heavy drum sound kind of school.
Yeah.
And Dio his lyrics here are amazing. And a lot of people, they quote Stargazer as one of the most epic heavy metal tracks ever.
Yes, yes.
I mean, the definition of epic, and if you look it up in the dictionary, and it says "See Stargazer," that's what it says.
Yeah, it's got a picture of Dio on Epic.
Yeah, they show a picture of Dio, and they say, listen to Stargazer, and you'll understand. That song,
that's a great track. That's a great
the
track.
way it builds and the way it's arranged and played. I keep saying the word epic because I can't think of anything else, but
It's epic.
Yeah.
Hey, Frederick, what's it say on the spine of your vinyl?
Rainbow Rising. Rainbow.
Is that it? Let me see.
Rainbow.
Yeah.
Rainbow Rising, and the catalog number.
You guys slightly different. But it still says Blackmore's on there. Wow.
Yeah. No, this is a reissue. So this is a 2014 reissue.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they had legal issues with the name of Richie Blackmore, or he took his name off it. I can't say.
This is a Japanese press too, so it could be because of that. Maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably a whole bunch of different, Rainbow Rising spine titles around, different countries with different different names. So.
Yeah, this definitely set the template for power metal. Every power metal that came out after, every single power metal band would be familiar with this. If they weren't, they'd be lying to you. This set the template for power metal with the cover, with the mystical themes, or the fantasy mystical themes. This set the template for every power metal band and the power metal genre in itself. I'd say Judas Priest and Rainbow started power metal, and that term, even though that term wasn't around back then, but it did later come out. And I think those two bands are where power metal started. And,
power, and then I think Judas Priest a little bit more towards the speed metal as well, but also the power. I would say power/speed.
Yeah.
And I also did make note of the very last track, "The Light in the Black." Killer drum beat on "The Light in the Black." Just really cool. The upbeat drum beat on that track.
Cozy, man. Cozy was. I mean, he was in Sabbath. He was in Rainbow. I think he was in Whitesnake. I mean, that dude was.
Yeah, Whitesnake. Yep.
I was reading a list of all the albums he's been on. He was on I don't know, it was maybe 70 or 80 different albums where he played drums. And of course he had a ton of solo albums, which I found a lot of them on CD. And he could play jazz, he could play fusion, he could play heavy metal, obviously, hard rock, pop music. Dude even jammed. I heard some reggae stuff on his albums. I mean, the significance of Cozy Powell can't be overstated. The guy was freaking amazing on drums. Heavy-handed drum guy. I mean, I read a little bit of criticism about him that he was, too heavy-handed. But come on, it's heavy metal. It's hard rock. That's what you're supposed to be. But he could do everything. I mean, the guy was amazing. And the more I read about him, and the more of his albums that I listen to, obviously I listened to the Rainbow and the Sabbath stuff before, and he was a virtuoso. The guy was amazing. Yeah. It's a huge loss when he died.
Yeah,
I definitely think he was a huge part of this album, and I think the longer songs. There's a couple of 8-minute songs, and the very last song, track number 6, "The Light in the Black," that 8-minute song. Like the drum beat and the up tempo, you would typically think like an 8-minute song would be like a humming, drummy, kind of boring. Especially with the last song, you'd think it'd be like a really kind of slower, a throwaway track or whatever. But yeah, Cozy Powell made sure that did not happen. He just started off with this super killer drum beat up tempo, and then that just leads away to this really amazing 8-minute song that you're not bored with at all.
Oh, he was also some of the really great Michael Schenker albums from the 80s. Cozy Powell on Assault Attack.
That's a good album.
I mean, that guy. I mean,
He definitely kept this album going. Like, yeah, this whole album is like pretty well like an up tempo album, and then Dio's themes are pretty dark on it. It's just an all around great mix. So that's obviously why we all picked it.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the top heavy metal albums of all time. When
it is.
know, if you see
It
lists,
is.
and it's one of those albums that it really is. It can't be overstated how good of an album it is, and how much it has affected every other band that's come after them. How to influence them.
Yeah.
Huge influence.
So we did some what do we got? Called cycle jumps where Frederick picked that, I picked that. So David Biggs, you're actually up next.
Yeah, well, that was on my list as my top one, but so I'm gonna go with a different album now for my next pick, and I mean, this has got to be on everybody's list too, but it's going to be Holy Diver, and
I gotta go.
There's so much to this album. It's when you think about Dio, okay, he's been with what? He's been with Rainbow, right? All those albums were amazing. He's been with Black Sabbath. Those albums were amazing, and he's been with his own band, Dio. So what vocalist has been with 3 bands that have been ultra successful, like platinum selling bands? I don't think a lot of guys have. Dio has. I mean, you've got Ozzy. He's been in Sabbath. Ozzy's been by himself, but Ozzy was never really in the third band. He was either solo or with Sabbath. Dio's been in 3 different successful bands, and if you want to even stretch it a little bit, you can say he's been in 4 with Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
If you want to stretch it, but that's kind of a stretch because essentially they're Black Sabbath. But so we're going to go with 3. But I mean, this. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say Rob Halford has been in so many bands as well, but some of the bands were iffy for some people, like 2 with Trent Reznor, which wasn't a good album. I didn't like that. He did Fight. He did his solo stuff, the Halford stuff, and then with Priest, he's another one of those singers that has established himself as a vocalist. But we're not here about Halford. We're here about for Dio.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say.
And then Vivian Campbell. This was his.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was in any. I think he was in a band called Sweet Savage before this, and I don't know if I have any of their albums.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Sweet
have any of those
Savage.
albums. Yeah.
They never made an album. They did a single.
They did a single.
And I think there's an anthology record out for their singles, compilation songs. But Sweet Savage, Vivian Campbell in that amazing speed metal.
The guy's a shredder. He was a shredder in the early 80s, and he was a young guy and just coming up with these riffs. I mean, I know Dio came up with the riff for a Holy Diver. He actually played a little guitar, as far as I know.
Bass as well.
Bass, yeah.
Played bass.
So I mean, and then this has of course, this is the album with Rainbow in the Dark, which is the classic all-time Dio song. And whenever you think of Dio, you think of rainbows, you think of nights, you think of neon nights, but first and foremost, you think of rainbows because he's always singing about rainbows in every album. I mean, almost on every album. He's especially when he was with Richie Blackmore, and he still sings about it in Dio. Not on the Strange Highways album, as we established, that was more of an industrial kind of feel. Definitely not on Dehumanizer, which was more of a electronic kind of futuristic kind of album. But the riffs on Holy Diver are amazing. The songs are amazing. There is a keyboard presence, but it's not overwhelming. The keyboards don't overwhelm you. They're very, very tasteful on the song Rainbow in the Dark, and that is a signature Dio track. Stand Up and Shout, that riff. Every time you hear that riff, it makes me just want to just go crazy. It's one of those. It's just high adrenaline rock, and it's hard rock and it's heavy metal, so it's upbeat, it's positive. This is Dio in his prime, Dio at his best.
I remember seeing the video for Holy Diver. I think it was it Holy Diver he did a video for?
Yep.
Back in the day.
Yep.
That was it was so cheesy.
It was a
But,
cheesy video, yeah.
It was a cheesy video, but it's a great song.
It
We
is.
was in the church and it was just and the demon gets the priest and
Yeah.
I don't think Cozy Powell ever played on any Dio albums, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of weird.
No.
Not
Because
Vinny.
he took Vinny Appice from Black Sabbath. He took Vinny.
Yeah.
And I think it was a pretty good fit.
Jimmy Bain, as you said, yeah.
He took Jimmy Bain from Rainbow. And the production on this is really good.
It is, yeah.
You would think for a debut album, it might not be so great because as we've established some of the later Dio albums, the production isn't really there, but this really jumps out at me on CD. I have it on vinyl, but I haven't listened to it in a long time. But
Yeah.
every time I play this, any edition of the CD, immediately it just screams at you out of the speakers. It just jumps.
Yeah.
The riffs jump out at you. The vocals certainly, the drums, the bass.
Yeah.
Glorious
Yeah.
album.
It sounds really good on vinyl. Mine's I have a reissue on it. It's a gatefold. And the second record is actually interview. It's a Ronnie James Dio interview. Yep. It's pretty cool. Is that the one you have, Frederick? Same one?
No, this is a reissue, but this is just a single sleeve. It's a
Yeah.
replica of the original album.
Yeah.
So it's got the
Yeah,
inner
mine's a-
sleeve.
Oh,
Mine's a
cool.
gatefold.
Oh, see, you've got the lyrics. I've just
Yeah.
I don't think that album never had the original lyrics. It was just the original
Yeah.
Pollard sleeve.
I think the CD reissue also has the Dio interview on it.
Oh, does it? Cool.
Yeah, this
Cool.
is not the reissue though. This is just a
Yeah.
CD version.
It's funny is we all have different issues. I have mine from a CD box set. You have a standalone CD. You got the gatefold, and you got the different one with that sheet there in the middle. It's funny we all got different issues.
Yeah.
I should have brought all my vinyl to the party. It's all in the other room.
But I'd say for me to touch on this album is it did not make my top 5, and I can't really tell you why it didn't because there is a ton of standout tracks from this album. Obviously, Stand Up and Shout, Holy Diver, Don't Talk to Strangers, and then probably one of my more favorite tracks, Straight Through the Heart. I love that Straight Through the Heart
Yeah.
track. Sorry.
There's the interview.
So and obviously
Yeah.
the Rainbow in the Dark is
Cool.
on here. So like, I can't really tell you why it didn't make
Yeah,
the
that's
top
pretty cool.
5 because there is a ton of standout tracks on here. So
Oh, there is. I like the slower doomy tracks. Like Rainbow in the Dark. That slowy song, but that's heavy. It's got that doom element to it. Just a great album.
I think there is a few slower songs near the back half that don't really do
Yeah.
it for me a
Nice.
whole lot.
I need it for a coat.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty
I've
cool.
never seen that one. So I think that's probably why it didn't make my top 5, just because there is probably a few slower songs near the end that really don't do it for me a whole lot.
Handwritten
Yeah.
Ronnie lyrics. I've never seen that before. Really, I never really looked at this.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
This is the Rock Candy reissue, one of the first Rock Candy
Yeah.
CDs.
Okay.
So I think I saw someone had a vinyl with Vertigo on it. So there's a
Yeah.
Oh, that was my CD there. The reissues, they're all printed with the same CD look, so to speak, but they all have this.
Yeah, this is a Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I think that's the version I have on LP.
Yeah. Mine's Back in Black there, Frederick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great label. Doing
It is a great label, yeah.
Great reissues on there.
Yeah. Very good sound quality.
It is, yeah. A lot of people don't like their quality. They think it's
No, I think they're good.
but yeah, they are very good. I've got a few Back on Black.
So do I, yeah.
I probably have like five or six different pressings of Holy Diver.
Nice.
When I like an album, I usually have like 5 to 10 different copies of it.
Yeah.
I go kind of a little crazy.
Yeah. It didn't.
Yeah,
It's an iconic album for sure. It didn't make my top 5, but Can't really explain why, but
Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't explain why. Looking at the track list, there's a ton of great songs. I can't really say why. Probably just
Yeah.
the last few songs. There's a couple slower songs that really don't do it for me. So it's probably right here nor there. But yeah, actually, Dave, if you want to go up next here, actually.
Yeah, sure. I think this might be the last one, I believe. I actually went with Magica.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah, love this album. Yeah. Yeah, obviously this is like one of his later albums. Yeah, one of the standout tracks on here. My favorite track on this album is Fever Dreams. Love Fever Dreams. Yeah, amazing track. This one definitely has more of that fantasy element, as his albums usually do, but it's a great album. Heavy. Yeah.
Was this his last solo album?
No, Master of the Moon was, I believe.
Okay, Master of the Moon.
Yeah.
My favorite song from this era, I don't know if it's an outtake from this album, was Electra. It's on the very Beast of. I love that Dio track.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, Electra. Hold on one second.
Yeah, well, and also, yeah, Turn to Stone is cool. And actually, right after his favorite track, The Fever Dreams, the Turn to Stone, I like that one. And yeah, this is like his big storytelling album. Like this is a whole storytelling. This is basically almost like it's almost like a concept album,
I
not
think it was
full
a
concept,
album, yeah.
but it's almost like his big grandiose storytelling thing that he'd always wanted to do. And I think this was like his time when he just said, "Okay, I am doing this big storytelling type story." And like that is the kind of a thing where it came out on a double disc a deluxe edition where he told the whole story behind Magica, the story of Magica. That's probably the copy you have, eh?
I think
The double disc one.
this is the double disc one, whereas the
Yeah.
other disc is live.
Oh, live. Oh, well, well. Anyway, I know what it is. It's the very last track. There's a bonus track called Magica Story, and that's
Yeah,
him actually.
that's on mine there, Jamie.
Yeah, and it's
I got
him.
that on mine. Yeah.
It's him telling the story.
Oh yeah, that is on here.
A story.
I also found this too.
Oh, that
oh,
Can
that
you
was
see
that
that?
was that a record
see
store
it?
day? That was from
Yeah.
recent, right?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
The Annika track. That's the bonus track from Magica. Yeah.
See, and then this guy was a part of the story. Whoever this guy was, they illustrated this guy, the Magica guy. You know, so the story of Magica. Some glare, but anyway. Yeah, this is his big, complete story of Magica, so to speak. Little
Yeah.
promo sticker on the front here. I'm not going to zoom in, but
Yeah. See it. Nice. It's a
That's
great
good.
album.
Haven't heard that album.
No? It is
I haven't
slower.
got it. No, I haven't got it.
Storytelling phase.
Yeah. You haven't heard Fever Dreams. You must have heard Fever Dreams before.
I've heard it from another band called Hex. Had a song called Fever Dreams.
Okay. Yeah.
But the last 4 Dio albums, I did pre-order the vinyl, but they never came.
Okay.
You know, so I wanted trying to find the other 4 because I haven't heard any after the last album. You know, the one we talked about before.
Yeah.
After that, I didn't get to listen to the other 4 albums. So
Yeah.
I need to go back and
Yeah.
acquire even though for my collection too. You know that those
Yeah. Yeah. I have the last 4. These are those you can't really tell from the camera, but they're the ones with the hologram.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got this one here with the lenticular cover. The
Yeah.
Equal Divine.
Yes.
triple
Yep. Same thing. Yeah.
CD.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the last 4 albums are all like that with the
Yeah,
plexiglass. Yeah.
And now they're probably worth a lot of money now because they're got the lenticular covers.
Yeah.
And they're probably hard to find now. So
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Yeah. Even when they came out, they weren't too cheap when they first came out. Even
no, because this one here, for me, cost me 60 Aussie dollars.
Yep.
So it's like $20 a record.
Yeah.
But you get it's a free 600 LP set. With all these killing the, I think it was Killing the Dragon tour.
Yeah.
With on Killing the Dragon and Egypt and all this rainbow stuff and some Sabbath stuff he done on the other 3 sides. You got Heaven, Holy Diver, Heaven and Hell, Rainbow in the Dark, We Rock, and you got 4 studio tracks.
Nice.
As well. So haven't opened this yet. So it's still sealed. So I want to keep
I have trouble opening sealed stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dug out something special for everybody.
Oh,
my first
nice.
concert T-shirt.
Oh, cool.
I had to go
Nice.
find it. This is
I'm
the
gonna
first.
guess you've never worn it.
Oh, I've worn it hundreds of times.
Yeah, that's
It
pretty
doesn't
cool.
fit me anymore. It's a medium. I'm way bigger than a medium now.
Nice. Very,
So
very
that was-
nice.
That was a tour shirt. Tour 92.
Oh, cool.
And
Cool.
there we are, Hartford, Connecticut.
Right on.
Right on
Cool.
there.
Nice, man.
So next day, so when I went to high school, when you went to a concert, what you would do the next day is you'd wear the T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Of the show you went to. So I'm wearing this, and I'm the only one in this school who wore this because everybody's listening to Nirvana. Nevermind, it was 92, right? Late 92.
Yeah.
And people are like looking at me, and I'm like, dude, Sabbath was freaking awesome. Exodus was freaking awesome. I'm the only dude in the school wearing this shirt.
Nice.
People are saying, don't you listen to Nevermind? I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Why don't you have that? Why don't you have that CD? I don't know. I like Sabbath.
Yeah.
I like Kiss. I like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah, true. I don't blame you either.
Oh man, that was a life changing moment. That was when I was in rock and metal for life.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
It is.
Well, it doesn't look old and worn. It still looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't worn it in probably, I don't know, good 20 years.
Yeah.
Because you get older and fatter. So
It's like a piece of history, man.
yeah, I had to hang. I just have it hanging up in the closet.
It's a shame here in Australia we never got to see Dio play live. I don't think. So
I never saw him solo. I had probably had the chance multiple times, but you always think these guys are going to be around for a long time. You're like, oh, I'm doing something that night, or I don't have the money this night, and I'm gonna see them then on the next tour, and then never go on the next tour, and then all of a sudden they're gone.
yeah, that was like Motorhead. I never saw Motorhead live. I would have loved to see Motorhead live. But here in Australia we don't get a lot of international bands come down this way because we're too far away, and
Yeah.
I would love to see Dio. The only way I can see Dio live is on DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of regrets like that. I mean, there's plenty of shows that come this way because we're near New York, and they all come here, and I don't have any excuse. It's not like they're super far away. It's just you don't have the time,
Right.
Yeah.
and they don't live forever. These
time.
guys.
Yeah, for me, it's time and location. Australia, is way down. America and Europe are pretty sort of really not close, but a lot of bands go over to the States more because it doesn't cost them much to travel. But to Australia, the cost is way too high to come to Perth. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and
doesn't Kiss comes down there a lot?
yeah, but
They're really
not the last time Kiss came to Australia was 1980.
really
Yeah,
because I know everybody down there likes Shandy, right? The Shandy was a big hit down there.
yeah. But
I like that song.
But I think Kiss was supposed to come, but due to COVID, so
Yeah.
they postponed their tour. But I think they're coming next year. You know, but
I've seen them 8 times, and hopefully I get to see them one more time before they're done.
yeah, I'm not a big Kiss fan. I like just 2 of their albums, Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up. I think they're my favorite 2 Kiss albums of the 80s. And for the 70s, I really like their debut. The debut was a brilliant album, but so
They're no Dio though.
no Dio, no, especially Paul Stanley. He can't even sing anymore, and if he did, he couldn't beat Dio in a song contest anyway. So
yeah, poor Paul.
he gets a lot of shit poured onto him, but he deserves it because he's an asshole. Hey Paul, if you're watching, you're an asshole.
Oh, I still love you.
Yeah, because I read his book. He puts a lot of people down, especially the late Eric Carr.
Oh,
His book was very hard to read. That book was very hard to read.
Yeah, that's why he's an asshole for that book. If he didn't write that book, I think he would have been okay with a lot of people. But
yeah, and his second book was even harder to read. The Backstage Pass one. Very difficult to read that book.
I haven't read that one, so
yeah, you're better off not reading it.
He put Eric Carr down even after when he passed away. He put him down, which is totally wrong. You don't put a person down who was in the band. And he talked shit about him. He said he wasn't the best drummer for Kiss. It kind of put me off, Paul Stanley. But yeah. I do like his music. I like his music, but putting people down after they've passed away, it doesn't sit with me well.
I do love Eric Carr. I think it was the best Kiss drummer, honestly.
He was.
Same. But Freddie, if you're talking away, it's actually your next pick, so keep talking away.
Well, this one's a hard one because Dio has so many great albums, but I think I want to talk about the second Dio album, The Last in Line.
Yep.
This is another great album. The opening track, We Rock, which is the anthem for all metalheads. And on this album, he does rock on this album. And it's a great opening track. And I think he always plays this song. He always played this song live. I think it was always in his set list.
Yeah.
I did see a video he did with Tenacious D. With the back on We Rock video, had Tenacious D on there.
Yeah.
Which really got me pumping. Now this album has some great tracks. Like We Rock, The Last in Line, Egypt. I really love Egypt. That's a great track. A little bit slow. Speed at Night, a bit more up-tempo song.
That's my favorite song from that album.
They're all great songs. I don't think Dio has ever written a bad song.
Awesome.
But I think on this album, a lot of people don't like Shoot Shoot. But that song is sort of an odd song for Dio. But this is just a great album. Again, it's got the fantasy themes.
Yeah.
Got the mascot. I think the first 3 were the mascot. Days of. And then after the mascot sort of went away on his album covers, so just a great album.
Well, I guess he would have returned on Master of the Moon, so to speak, an updated version. I don't know if that would be considered.
I don't think that's Murray.
No, I don't think it is either.
So yeah, no, that's my pick. Last pick, The Last in Line.
Well, it's actually my pick too, so I'll just tail into your pick. My pick that would be my next pick as well, sort
So,
of thing.
what are your favorite songs on there, Jamie?
And yeah, just the super epic title track there, the Last in Line, and then Breathless is incredible. And then that I Speed at Night, I was trying to chime in with that. I Speed at Night is almost one of his more speedier tracks.
Yeah,
That's the best track off that album.
Speed at Night.
yeah. Well, even it's got the word speed in there, so it has to be the speed
That
metal
is kind
track.
of speedy. It is actually is kind of speedy. And I did write down One Night in the City. It's almost like got this really cool bluesy kind of riff, kind of bluesy kind of like hard rock bluesy kind of vibe in One Night in the City. And then Evil Eyes is just a super groovy track, Evil Eyes. So those are my kind of stand-up tracks on that. And I also was actually I was trying to zoom in on this. I don't know if it probably didn't zoom in correctly, but it actually says produced by Ronnie James Dio on there. Produced by.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was his helm in the thing or he just decided to put his name on the producer chair. I don't know.
What do you guys think of that song Mystery? It was kind of the more commercial track. I think it was kind of like a Rainbow in the Dark, a little bit of a rewrite. I know, maybe he's trying to catch lightning twice. But I do like that track, Mystery. I think there was a video for it. I'm not sure. Or I think maybe it was a single. Not 100%. I do remember the video for Last in Line, which I think was a pretty cool video.
Yeah, I saw the video
Yeah.
back in the 80s. Yeah, one of those cheesy videos.
Some of those early 80s videos are very hard to watch. But
Yeah,
some of them they're so bad that they're funny. But a lot of those heavy metal videos in the early 80s, I don't think they had the biggest budgets.
No.
Whereas like towards the mid and late 80s, they had the really big budgets in they're having the Video Music Awards and all that crap. But I don't think any Dio videos will really win any video.
they're like the Grim Reaper, videos, for the first two Grim Reaper albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheesy.
Cheesy. I love Grim Reaper.
Yeah, they're cheesy, but that was the 80s, like you said, that Dave. The 80s was all about the cheese at the time.
Yeah,
they're trying to
doesn't mean it's not cool. There's a cool factor, right? It's a cool factor of it.
Yeah, because they're getting their music out there, and they want people to see what they look like, and what the music sounds like. So video was the big point for these bands, even with the cheese. But when people saw the videos, they thought, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and buy that record, And
I discovered a lot of bands through watching videos.
Yeah, me too. But I don't know in America, but here in Australia, we don't have any like MTV unless you pay for it on Foxtel and that sort of stuff, satellite. But we don't have music channels here in Australia. But I don't know what's it like in America or even in Canada.
Yeah.
Well, I know for sure in Canada. Well, back when Dave was growing up, he wouldn't have been able to get MTV, so it would have been just Much Music.
Yeah.
It would have been Much only. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to watch Much Music Power Hour.
I've heard of Power. I've heard a lot on YouTube. People talk about the Power Hour.
Power Hour was a great show. It was awesome. I like I said, I discovered a lot of bands from watching that.
Yeah, well, we've got a show here in Australia called Rage, but it's all mixed, and they do sometimes special heavy metal shows. And when bands come, like when they tour Australia, like they had Judas Priest on there, they probably had like 9 Inch Nails do some music videos. And again, that's where I saw most of these classic metal bands. Like Dio, I saw Holy Diver video. And I thought, oh yeah, I really loved this song. It's a good heavy song. And then I went out and this was the first Dio I got. It was a Rock and Roll Children video.
Yeah,
got me hooked on this album. It was a little bit more. It wasn't as cheesy as his earlier videos. It was a bit more, had a bit more cash put onto it, because it was, I think it's his third or fourth album or something like that.
Yeah,
fifth, so
it's a great track, great album,
great song. That's what got me hooked onto Dio was that track.
Mine was Dream Evil for me.
Yeah, see, everybody's got their, different tracks. What you got hooked on. So some of it was the Sabbath era. Some of it's the modern Dio. Some of it is the 80s Dio. And
Yeah.
I'm a 70s kid, but I grew up, in the 70s and 80s. So the 80s Dio was where I got started.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a shame that he did pass away, because I think he would have
gave us more, no doubt.
he would have gave us more. And in what direction would it still be? The fantasy stuff? Would it be something totally different?
Yeah.
We'll never know. But it's great to have all these classic albums from his career that we can get to listen to. All these songs, and watch him on DVD. And even watch him as a hologram if you want to go see him as a hologram.
That's
Nice.
cool. We had MTV, because I really started listening to metal in the late 80s, early 90s. And so there was MTV, huge presence with all the songs that they would play. But I seem to remember going to like record stores and magazine stores and bookstores and buying all the music magazines and learning about different bands from those. I would just, if I wasn't able to afford the magazines, which I didn't have a lot of money back then, I would just kind of stand there and like read some of the articles and stuff and like say, okay, Celtic Frost and there's a new Sabbath album coming out or something. I'm gonna go, I would know the release date and I would know when to go to the stores and look for them in the stores. So yeah, I would read the magazines, and that was my biggest, the biggest way that I found out about new bands and stuff.
Well, MTV was great. MTV was awesome. You had Headbangers Ball, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I remember Headbangers Ball. We did have MTV here back in the 80s, and Headbangers Ball would be around about, really late at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, because metal was cringed at. And just like, they didn't want to put it on too early because it was just too heavy and and like David, magazines was my introduction to metal. Like I would read the Metal Mania, Metal Maniacs magazine.
Yeah.
I'd buy zines. That's where I got a lot of my music from, because TV wasn't playing it, radio wasn't playing it, and there was no internet back in the 80s. Yeah. And magazines were the only way to find these bands, And then in the late 80s, when MTV started, metal videos were popping up left, right, and center, and that's where a lot of the young kids at that era got into metal.
Yeah.
The only problem with the MTV was that there were so many other great bands that didn't really have videos, and they were more obscure that I'm just discovering now, 30 years later.
I know.
The problem with it, they force-fed you what they wanted you to buy at the time.
Yeah.
And whatever was coming out, this is what was out. This is what's coming out. Go get it on this release date. Yeah. And obviously, as like a teenager, I'd fall for that.
Yeah, most of it was mostly hair metal bands, like Slaughtered and Mr. Biggs and that. And then you might get the odd extreme band, like some thrash would get thrown in there, and then later on death metal and industrial and
Well, the magazines were certainly certainly a chance for the more obscure bands to get known, like you were saying. That's when you heard like Celtic Frost and things like that, right? So that would have been something that wouldn't have been playing on the radio. That you would have saw the ads and things like that for the magazine. And I also was
like Bathory. No, they're not. There's not going to be any Bathory videos. I mean, that's one of the greatest black metal bands ever.
Yeah.
And I didn't discover them until I think maybe the mid '90s.
Yeah, same with me.
Same like Twilight of the Gods.
World, a universe of stuff out there that I've never heard of because I don't have access to knowing about it. And then with the internet, that all changed.
Yeah, the good old www, eh?
Yeah,
and YouTube, showing all these videos that you never seen before, that TV would never show them.
And
Or
then you've got shows like we're doing right now, and like hopefully someone's watching and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go check out all those albums because these guys are all raving about it. I'm gonna see what they're talking about, see if they're if it's bullshit or not." And you
Yeah,
make up
especially-
your mind if it's bullshit or not, because what we're talking
Yeah.
about, it's not. But you make up your mind.
especially the people who don't know about Dio, especially the younger generation that are coming up into the metal scene, and they never heard of Dio or the Sabbath or Heaven and Hell. This is a great opportunity to get them young kids getting into Dio. They say, come into this album. Start off with this album and then go forward, or you can go back to any Dio album and then young kids, will enjoy the music. So like shows like this, we have to promote these bands and get the younger generation into these bands if they like metal. Even if you don't like metal, you can listen to Dio or Sabbath.
Yep.
But yeah, those magazines were certainly almost acted like a record label in a sense, where if you seen an ad in those magazines, it was almost like that quality check mark, where that's an ad in this heavy metal magazine, that's got to be good.
It's like that, sort of showing
Gungle, there you go, artillery.
the upcoming album, new releases, because that's the way we had to find our records,
Like those magazines are almost like the quality check mark, almost like a Road Racer or Shrapnel, or if you see Shrapnel, okay, I know that's good. Almost like those magazines were similar. If you see an ad running in those magazines, it's probably going to be good and it's up your alley.
But what's happening, magazines like Iron Fist out of the UK, which is a great magazine. If you haven't read this magazine, you need to get it, because it's got a lot of obscure bands, classic metal bands, but print media is the only way we can find these bands. But this is going out of style now. It's all being put onto the internet.
I love print magazines now, but here's the problem with print magazines. I go into the bookstore and I look at the magazines, and they're $15 to $20 a piece. I am not paying $20 for a magazine for 1 month. That's insane.
Yeah, they're expensive.
The magazines are beautiful. The pictures are amazing. I'm sure the articles, there's some good writing in there. I'm sure there's some crappy writing in there, but whatever. I'm just not paying $20 for a magazine. I'm sorry. I mean, I'll pay $5, $6, $7, $8, but when it gets to be 10 plus, and then some of these magazines are really thick and they want like $20 maybe, plus, and they don't even come with a CD anymore. They used to come with a CD or something, or swag.
This magazine, Zero Tolerance, always comes with a CD. It costs 14, $15 here in Australia, but you get the CD, but it's not as thick. This magazine, Iron Fist, I get from the UK. It's the $21 mark, as with the postage.
Yeah.
But it is a thick magazine. It's got over 100 pages. So, but this is
the only magazine I really buy now from the UK is Record Collector, because they cover all the genres of music, not just rock and metal. They cover everything, and the writing is impeccable. Some of the writing it's so professional. It's beyond me, like what they write about. And I'm reading these articles. I'm like, I don't understand what they're talking about here. Some of these bands. But
Speaking of magazines there, David.
Amazing.
Speaking of magazines there, David, I actually just bought this one maybe about 2 weeks ago, and I paid $16.25 for it.
Oh.
I have that same magazine.
Yeah,
it's a good read, isn't it?
it is. Yeah,
it's a good read, especially the Anthrax Anthrax article.
Yeah, but yeah, with after tax, you're paying like $20 for this magazine. So
yes, that's what it costs here in Australia.
Yeah, I won't do that again.
I like to support rock and metal in any form that I can. Buying the albums, buying the magazines, but I think just the cost of the magazines now is more than I can handle, because giving the records and CDs that I buy, I can't.
Because
another $20 for a magazine every month.
The environment, a lot of magazines have closed down out of the USA and the UK because of the cutting down trees, and they all go online now, so you can read it online. But for me, I'm an old school guy. I like to have the physical copy of everything. CD, vinyl, tape,
Poster.
magazines, books about metal. I'm not one of those guys that will go down and download, music. Unless when you buy a record, it's not like this. You get a download card. Then I will download, the tracks, but I wouldn't go down and just download an album and not have the physical copy.
I have never downloaded a track anywhere for any reason of any time. Every single thing I have is physical. And if it's not physical, if it's not available physically, I don't want it. I mean, I do have a few CDRs that people gave to me or recorded for me, but I will not buy anything that's strictly digital. I won't even.
No, me either. Unless if you go to Bandcamp and you order an album, you get the download until you get the physical album. I don't mind that. I don't mind that because you're getting the tracks before you get the physical, so you can have a listen to it.
Hey, David. Speaking, we're talking about paid $20 for that magazine. I paid $20 for this original Japanese press.
That's worth it.
I'd much rather have this.
Yeah, I'd rather pay $20 for a vinyl than pay $20 for a magazine, which I'll read the articles once and I really won't go back to it. Whereas I'll go back to it. I'm going to go back to that album hundreds or thousands of times.
Yeah.
It's just not. It doesn't make any economic sense.
But vinyl here in Australia, I don't know what's like over in America or Canada, but vinyl here in Australia, it's way expensive. I
heard that.
With the import prices and freight and all that, a vinyl in America will cost you $20.
No,
over here.
No,
or 25, 30 bucks. Here it would cost us $70 or $80.
Yeah,
for a record.
What about used ones though?
Used ones, depending on how rare they are. You might get an album that costs you $5, right up to $200-300. Like I got a vinyl, Blind Guardian, Twisted the Myth. That cost me like $40, but now it's worth $300. So it just depends on the rarity of a metal vinyl. If it's an OG pressing, you go onto Discogs, the prices on there for vinyl.
Discogs is that's
It's probably mainly the shipping for you that gets you the shipping prices.
Well, shipping prices here vary. Like if I order from Germany, it'll cost me like €50 for 6 albums. From America, I don't want to say how much for me. It's like I was going to order an album by a band called Intruder from the US, and for one album and the postage, it would have cost me 125 Aussie dollars.
What? From the US?
From the US.
Wow.
Just for one album. And I got the same album from Germany. It cost me $60. So I said, I'll go to the Europe distro. Because it's the freight. It's way too expensive. Way too expensive.
I didn't realize the US was so expensive because I don't buy a lot of stuff online, just here and there. I usually buy local.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Frederick, because like I order lately I've been ordering a lot of stuff from Europe. I find the stuff from Europe is a lot cheaper and I get it a lot quicker to Canada.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know what it is with the States, but for some reason, even though we're just north of you there, David, it takes, I have had bad luck ordering from the States. Every album that I've ordered from the States, it takes months to arrive and costs way too much money. I can order something from Europe and I get it in 2 weeks maximum. Sometimes I get it like in sometimes I get it in 5-7 days.
Well, you're lucky.
Half the price.
You're lucky because here I order from Germany. I have to wait like 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I get it like in 2 weeks maximum.
Yeah, no, here in Australia, it's 2 months because, there's no, I think DHL is sort of very slow.
Yeah.
And I'm getting vinyls, like sometimes 6 months to 8 months,
Oh wow. Yeah.
because of shipping, so. But a lot of the records I can't get here from a local record store. You have to get from overseas,
Yeah.
so. But what can you do? If you want the vinyl, you have,
Yeah,
you
pay
have
for it.
to you have to wait for it, and when it comes in, it's either warped, like
Yeah.
somebody sat on it, or it's damaged.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, every day that I'm off from work, I'm probably in a record store looking through the same stuff over and over again. And I've
Nice.
gotten way more picky stuff. Like today I saw stuff and it had like some surface scratches on it, and I'm like, I'm not going to pay $10 for something with surface scratches. It actually was a Rainbow album. I don't think it wasn't one with Ronnie on it, but it was a Rainbow album, like maybe Difficult to Cure or something, or Down to Earth, and it had some scratches
Okay.
on
Yeah.
it. I'm not going to pay $10 for something with scratches on it, and probably a million, half a million were pressed when I can
Yeah.
find a better one. So I'm getting very much pickier with my vinyl purchases
Right.
now.
Yeah. Me too.
You can still
Yes.
find bargains here. I mean, used. I don't buy a lot of new. I'm not paying $30 for an album when I can pay, wait for it for a few years to come out. And somebody returned it and pay like half or a third of the price.
Yeah.
I'm
Onto a different
I'm good at
onto a
waiting.
different topic. Onto a different topic. It's about Dio.
Yeah.
Have any of you heard Dio sing with other bands? Like I've been listening, watching YouTube, and I've seen a lot of bands that Dio has appeared on, and most of them are power metal bands, especially the modern day power metal bands. But I was wondering, have you heard any of these songs from these?
He sang on his cousin's album, David Rock Feinstein.
Feinstein, yeah.
Yeah, he sang on a couple tracks on some of his albums, and he actually sang on a Deep Purple concerto album. He sang a couple songs that he wrote. He actually sang on Deep Purple. On Deep Purple, it was a live album.
Oh, really?
Very interesting. Yeah, I have to go find the album, but it's interesting. I think it was an original song. I think he might have sung on Roger Glover's Butterfly Ball too, if I'm not mistaken. Don't
Yes,
quote me on that.
he did. Yes.
But I don't think he's like really sung on somebody else's album, full album. He's maybe just done a few tracks here and there.
Yeah.
Like this
I
track
can't
right
remember-
here.
Stars, yes. That's a
Love that.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I remember watching the video with all the 80s metal bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no,
we'll keep her going with some picks here. I don't know if anyone's got any picks. I think we're on the last round, or I've tailed my picks into other people's picks. So, but anyway, I tailed my last in line pick with Frederick's his last line pick. I just tailed that in with that. So we'll kind of just skip myself. I went in and already did that. So Big Dog's up next.
I'm gonna go with something that I don't know if everybody has this or not, but it's gonna be a weird pick, and it's actually a live album. I find this Dio Intermission live CD actually pretty cool. It's got a album track called "Time to Burn," which is actually a really commercial track for Dio. "Time to Burn." If you ever heard it, it's just sounds like an ultra commercial track. And you're like, where did this come from? And I can see why it doesn't really fit the characteristics of a Dio for a regular Dio album. So I can understand why he just did it on this live album. And what's interesting about this album is that he does a medley of Rainbow songs. He does "Long Live Rock and Roll" and "Man on the Silver Mountain" on this. So this is actually a pretty cool thing. And I actually got this years ago, really cheap for $6.
Nice.
and it's a Vertigo pressing, which is it's a UK pressing with little Vertigo swirls, which I love.
Nice.
I love any CD like this.
Cool.
Yeah, that's funny. That album never got it should have been added to this box set, but it never did. I don't know why. You know, it's one of those albums that should have been put in there because it's part of his sort of discog, releases. I don't know why that they opted not to put that in there. But I have heard bits and pieces of that album, but I'm not very familiar with it.
Look at that picture. He's actually killing the dragon right there.
I didn't know there was a song on there that never appeared on any of his studio albums. I didn't know that there was that one song.
Time to Burn. Yeah, check it out. It's ultra commercial song. When I heard it, I was like, what?
Never heard of it.
Would you say it's glam?
It's glam-y. I mean, it's a Dio track, but it's like it feels like it's a very commercial stab, and you can say you're gonna say to yourself, yeah, I can understand why it wasn't on any proper Dio album, but it's here.
But maybe he tried. Go, Jamie.
I'm surprised it never even showed up as a bonus track on any of the albums. It's just very odd. Maybe he never even recorded a studio version.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that.
I'm surprised it's never turned up years later as a bonus track, like everything does. Bonus track here, re-release here. I'm surprised it's never turned up anywhere. Because I've seen that live album kicking around here and there, and I just never really thought to really pay much attention to it, just because it would be songs I've already heard before and things like that. But I guess there is one song on there.
Studio version.
Oh, what was that track again?
It might be a studio track on a live album.
What was that song again?
Studio version.
I think it might be a studio track.
Yes, I do have that track on this EP.
Yep, it's a studio version. Now, this whole thing apparently isn't live because it says in the liner notes here, it says Time the Bird recorded at Amigo Studios and Record Plant in Los Angeles. So I don't think it was done live. I think they put live people on it.
Yeah. This is like the studio track and the original version of Evil Eyes. So
yeah, I don't have that record. That's a record? Is it a 45?
Yeah.
That's
yeah, 45. That's awesome. I don't have that.
Yeah, it came. If you want to get, you need to get the vinyl box set. That's the only place you can get that song, I think.
Yeah, it's a cool little. I guess it's a combination of studio and live stuff. Dio intermission.
That's the same with this one. This one is live with studio tracks.
I've seen that in the record store. It's very expensive. Yeah,
it is because it's it's a limited edition lenticular cover. Like that David was showing his 4 modern Dio albums, which were lenticular covers as well.
Yeah,
and they are very, very expensive albums because
they are. Yeah.
Well, actually, I know Magica is actually the hardest one to get on CD. I know I had all the 9 Dio studio albums, and that Magica was the last one I needed. And I was like, oh, fuck, I need this thing to turn up. I need to get this Magica. So I know Magica is probably one of the harder ones to get on CD for me. It was anyway.
Yeah.
I remember Chasing the Dragon. Night of the Vinyl Dead did a reissue back in the day, and it was like a pop up, had the dragon pop up in the center cover.
Oh, wow, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Killing the Dragon, but yeah.
Killing the Dragon, yeah.
I don't know if I talked about it on this show or the pre-chat, but I think I was saying during the pre-chat that I really love that Killing the Dragon album.
Great album.
I would have loved to have gotten it into my top 5 somehow, and it
awesome.
Just missed it. Like I could have easily put it in my 5, number 6 slot. That Killing the Dragon album is really awesome.
Great. It is. Yeah.
So like I'm not sure I don't think it's going to get picked here, but that definitely is a kind of a later standout Dio album. I think he's Dave. It looks like David probably went to go get his Killing the Dragon vinyl with the pop up I bet that's what he went to go get. Really, I really think.
Yeah, no,
that.
it was a very limited run on night of the vinyl dead, and then after several years, it got reissued again as a like a single. I think gatefold album.
Well, even though he actually made his pick, so we could have actually continued on with Dave. But yeah, maybe we'll get Dave Witherall's next pick here. I don't know if it's your last pick. I know I'm kind of lost on who's picked what. But,
I think I actually went through all mine. I can go through one of my.
That's fine. We're probably veering into the 2 hour mark. But
Yeah.
you gave all your picks. I only have one more left. I don't know, Frederic, if you have any more picks that you have.
No, I don't. I don't think I do. I think we've touched on really all of the early Dios. Yeah, so I'm good.
And then, to be honest, my last pick that I haven't shown was Dream Evil, which Dave Witherall did pick already, and I should have probably chimed in and just tied that all in together. But it wasn't that the time wasn't really got good, so I was like, I'll just do that later. But yeah, this is one hell of an album, and this is like, I almost found this to be an oddity album for him, but
Yep.
I almost find that super unique that he was trying different stuff. Like he was trying that Naked in the Rain song, the Sunset Superman, which is, Superman was probably a huge guy back then, so he was touching on like a bit of different things. I think he kind of ventured out and tried some different stuff. That would have been his third studio album at the time. So at that point, he was already successful. So at that point, he's probably like, "Hey, I'm already successful with my Dio solo. Now I'm just going to do some things that I want. I want to do something different, right?" So I think that this was his chance to do some different stuff on this album. But yeah, the title track is a rocker, Sunset Superman, just an epic kind of fist pumping kind of chorus on that. And then the Naked in the Rain song is just a really cool, such a great ballad kind of song on that. And even I Could Have Been a Dreamer, just a big rock track on that. Running with the Wolf Pack, it's got that kind of great kind of opening line, not opening line, but one of the great lines that I remember there. And also on that I Could Have Been a Dreamer song, great kind of backing instrumentals on there. There's a bit of keyboard, but just kind of really great kind of backing instrumentals that's going on in the studio with that. And then another kind of and then near the back half, I think it's the last song. Yeah, the very last song, When a Woman Cries. Again, really cool backing keyboards on that song as well. Again, that's 87. That's going a year after that. Ultimate Sin was doing a lot of synth and keyboard.
Yeah, that was the glam age.
That's a really cool keyboard backing track on that, on When a Woman Cries.
Yeah.
And that's Dream Evil is one of my more favorited Devo. I wouldn't say number one. That's really hard to do right now on the spot, but I do find the oddity of it being a little bit different. There's some uniqueness in it.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah, no, with the Dio catalog, it's very hard to pick a number one album. Every album is different. And every album can be a number one any day. You might listen to the debut, might be a number one for today, and then tomorrow you might think, "Oh, Sacred Heart is my favorite number one album." It's very hard. It's very hard to really pinpoint and pick one album that is going to be number one. The Strange Highways. It's not. It's a good album. It's not one of my favorite albums, but I think the first five will probably be the most listened to.
The only two that haven't gotten shown tonight.
Nice.
But I did see David kind of return with a stack. I don't know what he's got. I don't know what he's got going on, but let's figure out what he's got going on here.
I think it could be some very obscure Dio bootlegs.
What he's got going on. I made all my picks. Frederic's made all his picks. Dave Witherall made his picks. I don't know if David has one more picks, but if you've got any picks, let's. We're gonna finish the show off here with David here.
There's a lot of cool Dio studio stuff, right? But there's a whole treasure trove of live Dio stuff that is really amazing. And some of the stuff like this double Dio live album.
Oh, I've always wanted to get that because those Donington shows are incredible. Actually, well, the 83 one, is just iconic, epic. Obviously, the Donington shows are huge. I've really wanted to get that Donington 83 because I used to collect like bootlegs and digital bootlegs back in the day when I was a kid, and that Dio Donington was a really top show, fun show to listen to.
So, and then there's this one, which is a little bit older. This is an older pressing. The Dio shows on this one are older, but this, it's a newer pressing. This is Inferno. Last July. It's got a lot of the 90s Dio tracks on them. There's Tracy G right there.
Jeff Pilson, I think is that Jeff Pilson?
I think so.
I think that's Jeff Pilson, yeah.
And then I think Vinny Appice's in the middle. So actually on disc 2 he does some rainbow stuff. He does Mistreated actually, which is kind of funny that he does Mistreated because that was actually from Burn.
Nice.
Ronnie paying tribute to his Richie Blackmore Rainbow days. It's odd that he covered Mistreated from the Burn days from Coverdale.
That's cool.
And here's Holy Diver live.
Oh, nice.
Yep. I think that was on vinyl too. Same as this one. I think was the updated version.
Yeah.
With the lenticular cover. But there's so many Dio live albums coming out. Actually, it's unbelievable how many different shows there were. And
let's see.
And this never got showed tonight. This had the Heaven and Hell album.
No.
That's awesome.
That never got showed tonight.
Evil or Divine. This is the Metal Mind copy. Mine is number 231.
Hasn't
I have that on DVD.
Hasn't that show been reissued under multiple names multiple times, that specific show?
Maybe.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that specific show's been just reissued under multiple names multiple times.
I think
Yeah,
so.
you're correct there, Jamie. It has, yeah.
Like every couple of years, it'll come out as a new title.
Yeah, and different cover art.
Oh, that's a cool. That's a really cool kind of tribute tracks. There's some good tracks on that. Actually, what are some artists on that? I forget.
Steel Prophet, Hammerfall, Fate's Warning, Gamma Ray, Blind Guardian, Axel Repel, Primal Fear, Kill the King. It's on there.
Awesome.
Doro's on there. Jag Panzer, cool.
Yeah, I would love to hear the Solitude Eternus song because I love that band.
Yeah, they're good. They're a really good doom band. Of course, there's I do have all the Elf stuff, which this is a lot of Sealed stuff. This is, I think, the first Elf album.
Nice.
It looks like Mortis.
Yeah, right. So I think that's the first Elf album, and this is a compilation of the Elf albums.
Nice.
Ronnie James Dio.
That needs a vinyl reissue, I think.
And I have some other. I think I had another Elf album somewhere. Oh, I don't know where it is.
I think Elf did have 2 studio albums, didn't they?
I think 2. I think one was called
2.
Self-Titled, and I think Carolina County Ball, which is kind of it's boogie woogie metal.
Yeah, that first one is, I think, more rare to get. Like, it's hard to get, I think.
And this is a really good compilation, The Very Beast of. This is where I first heard Electra.
Nice.
What's the sticker say on the front?
It says, includes rare track from bonus track from Magica 2, which obviously never got released, but I think it might be in the can somewhere, and I think at some point maybe some studio musicians will finish it off and we'll get a release at some point. I really think that's going to happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I have a question for you guys. Do you think we may get some more studio tracks from Dio? You know, some the lost tracks.
100%.
That would probably be all up to Wendy, I think.
Yep,
Ronnie
that's
and
pretty
his
cool.
Guinness
Didn't-
Stout, probably.
Didn't Wendy do the whole Deal hologram thing?
Yeah,
Or
she
am I
did. Yeah,
mistaken?
yes, she because a lot. I think it was about the money.
But I think,
But
I think Dio went on a hologram tour.
Yeah,
He
I think
did.
they had that in the States, and there was a lot of mixed
Felix, yeah,
about it.
Understandable, yeah.
yeah. It was a live band as well.
See it. I
You know,
definitely, I
live-
would, it's a show. I think Ronnie would be tickled pink that they were honoring him like that he'd still in the afterlife be on stage with the musicians playing his songs. I think he'd be tickled.
Isn't there a
Mentioned,
Motorhead hologram tour coming up?
I don't
With the
know.
original.
Uh,
I wouldn't be-
I don't think Lemmy would like that. I personally.
I don't think Lemmy would be a fan of that.
No, I don't think he would like that.
I have another great album. David, you mentioned On Stage.
On stage,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
There you
Yes,
go.
that's awesome.
I was gonna wonder if anybody had that because, that is kind of the big Rainbow Live album.
The only
Yeah,
problem I have
great
with
album.
that is that Richie is too jammy on some of the songs, and like I don't want to hear a 20-minute version of Catch the Rainbow. I don't need a 20-minute version of it.
Yeah,
You know, it's already long enough, 8 minutes or whatever it is on the studio album, or 7 minutes. I don't need to hear it for 20 minutes and Richie jamming the blues. I loved Richie; he's my favorite living guitarist of all time.
yeah,
But just the prog tendencies of the late 70s, and that was why there was a backlash with punk, is
yeah.
because guys did 20-minute solos.
That on this album, that track
Not
is
naming
15 minutes,
names,
40
Kirk
seconds.
Hammett.
But that live album is a classic. I
It
do
is, yeah.
have like 6 or 7 copies of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I watched
great.
that on a song off that album, Stargazer, on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that on YouTube, the Stargazer live, which was Dio's finest performance in his vocals.
This is just an oddball CD of some collected Dio tracks. I found it at Walmart. It was really cheap.
Huh.
I-
Walmart of all places,
Yep.
eh?
Yeah, I like picking up these one-off weird things. It's just a bunch of tracks, nothing special.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, I saw that there was 3 tracks there with an asterisk. Were they like bonus tracks or unreleased tracks at the time?
It says all tracks recorded live in 2002.
Okay, and the 3 like Push, Fever Dreams, and Killing the Dragon. Oh yeah, bonus studio tracks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I see like these weird things, especially at Walmart, when you see them, pick them up because they're not going to be there that long. And plus,
no.
Walmart basically their CD section is nil right now. It's basically
Yeah.
they sell mostly vinyl, and a lot of the vinyl I'm very hesitant to buy from Walmart because a lot of the vinyl is heavily handled,
Yeah.
and the racks that they have it on, people drop them all the time. And you never know if you're going to get a chipped or a shattered piece of vinyl.
Yeah.
So I'm very hesitant to buy from Walmart based on how they shelve their records.
Mm.
Even though they are one of the cheapest places to buy vinyl, but they're always a lot of the wrapping is like partially off.
Yeah.
Buy the new Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
It was like a triple disc and it was like $50-$60 at Walmart.
Yeah.
And the wrapping was like messed with. So I'm like, I'm not going to spend $60 for something that's not perfect. I'm not.
Right. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, that's pretty much like all my Dio stuff. I mean, I've got umpteen copies of Killing the Dragon. I just whenever I saw a copy, I would just buy it. Different
I don't
pressing.
think that ever got shown here yet.
What's that?
I thought when you left away, I thought you were going to get the vinyl version with the pop-up dragon that he was talking about.
I don't have that. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, no, it was a very limited run, from a very small label like Vinyl vinyl dead out of Italy, and it was only I think pressed like 500 copies
Wow.
at the time.
Valuable.
Oh, of course, Night of the Vinyl Dead are a label that do a lot of old school records, reissues. They make them really perfect, but they're very hard to find. And if you do find one, they're very expensive. Yes, and I think the Dio one,
that would be even $300 here.
Yeah, here it would probably cost around about $500. So.
But yeah, I got I have the lenticular cover of Killing the Dragon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to see, obviously, from the video, but man, for a lenticular cover, the dragon, it almost looks like it's deep inside, like deep within the album cover. It's pretty cool. It's like a 3D effect almost. It's hard to see from there, but
I could see a little bit. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, the head. I could see the head and the neck.
Yeah. Yeah, great album.
Okay, you're making me poor here, guys.
This is the deluxe Magic edition with the double disc, not the one I showed before. This is actually the one with the story and everything on it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool digipack.
Yeah, I had the vinyl version. That's what mine is. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had this for a while.
Yeah, it's got the Magic story.
Yeah, I think Ronnie, he was really proud of this album. And
yeah, it's a
I know
great
there was
album.
the second part that was coming, but I don't think he lived long enough to really get the most of it done. So what I heard was that maybe a lot of the vocals were done, but a lot of the instrumentation wasn't done. So maybe at some point it'll get finished. I don't know.
Probably next year, maybe, if we're lucky.
Yeah, that was definitely his big grandiose vision, that big Magica, that grandiose vision that he had, that he made it happen pretty well. But then I guess he got a little sidetracked with the next couple albums. But,
yeah.
I mean, as far as fantasy lyrics go, he's one of the top guys.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's influenced a lot of, as we said before, a lot of younger bands, and they look up to him, and they still look up to him today. He was a master of his craft.
And I have a deeper appreciation for Ronnie's vocal style. If you watch that opera singer, the charismatic voice, how she
I do watch her. Yes, I do watch her.
She
yes,
analyzes him, and she is smitten. She is a smitten kitten with Ronnie James Dio. She loves him.
Yeah, I watched an episode of her doing. She was doing the Stargazer vocal and you could see her awe of his vocals. She was so impressed, with the man. She, like you said, David, she loves him, so much. And she's not a metal fan herself.
No, she's an opera singer.
She's an opera singer, and she's getting into metal now, and she loves it, and she loves Dio.
Yeah,
it's funny watching. Sorry. I thought it was finished, but it's really cool watching all these people, all these non-metal people do these reaction videos, and they get so into it. They get so excited because they're
emotional.
Like they feel the energy of metal, and they almost like they get like smitten. They almost become instant fans because they're not familiar with it. But they're not familiar with the energy that metal can bring to them, eh?
I was just thinking right now. If Dio was alive, I think the opera singer that we're talking about, I think she would have loved to have recorded a song with him. I think that would have been an awesome track. Her opera vocals and Dio's metal vocals. I think that would have been a good collaboration if he was alive and she met the guy. And
my fantasy lineup would be the Dio and Yngwie.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't think those two guys would clash. I do not think those two guys would clash. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yngwie's big head, and he's I'm better than you attitude. No, it wouldn't have been a good mix.
Hey, he threw me 7 picks the last time I saw him, so I'm a fan.
Nice.
I like it when he was in Steeler, when he did with the Ron Keel. That was the only Malmsteen album that I've got in my collection. Nothing else.
I always pictured Ronnie on an Ingve album, but yeah, it would never work. But in my dreams.
I think they're both perfectionists in their own right, and one guy wanted to want to make his certain part perfect, and one guy, he wanted to want to make his part perfect, and I think they probably would have fought a lot.
Yeah, clash of the times, I think. Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe they could have done one track together, and maybe they would have hashed it out for one track, but not a whole album, probably.
No.
But it kind of sounds like maybe we kind of got our whole Dio talking and Dio discussion and favorite Dio albums, and maybe that's probably a good time to end the show here. And I want to thank all the guests for doing the show. I would not have a show without you guys. You guys are much a part of this channel as I am, and I want to thank the guests, and thanks for anyone that does watch the show. And maybe maybe say our goodbyes and things like that. And
okay. I just want to say thank you again, Jamie, for inviting me onto your show. And it's good, nice to meet you too, Dave and Dave.
Yep.
It's been an awesome chat. It's a great topic to talk about, and and as the title goes, long live rock and roll.
Yeah, you guys are all like great guests. I'd love to have you back as much as possible. Anytime we can get topics you guys are interested in on, I love having you guys on as guests. And thanks everyone for watching.
I'd love to come back on again. Yeah, with the guys. Yeah, and talk about metal.
It's great that we can have all different opinions and respect everybody's opinion.
Yes,
that's the best thing about these discussions, which I love. We respect. Everybody's got a different opinion, but we all respect everybody's opinion.
There's no haters. There's no haters.
And that's what the essence of the metal community is being inclusive, not excluding anybody.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna say our goodbyes, and keep the rocking and moshing and headbanging going, and peace, love, and all that kind of good stuff. See ya.
See ya. I'll have to spin.